Hi, welcome to another edition of Jim and Bill's In Case You Missed It, brought to you by Jim and Bill's Right Side Coffee.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Jim and Bill's Right Side Coffee, a delicious blend of full-flavored medium blend coffee, both regular and decaf. Order yours right now at rightsideshop.com. rightsideshop.com. The drones over New Jersey continues to be a topic of conversation. And by the time the week ended, no one could tell us where they came from and what they were doing. We had an interesting piece of audio featuring Dr. Stephen Greer, who had a unique take on what was going on. We went on to discuss how quickly our technology was developing and that we were traversing uncharted territory. Here's that segment, in case you missed it. We talked at the end of last week about those drones in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned that there was a really good interview with Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, mainstream media likes to criticize Dr. Greer because he's been essentially an amateur ufologist, a guy who follows UFOs and sightings and investigates them. Many times will personally go to where these sightings happened and try to figure out what went on. He's been doing it for years. He's a believer. He says he has seen these alien beings, I guess bodies of these alien beings. But I found the actual interview with Dr. Greer. And I wanted to play it, Bill, and then we can talk about what's going on in New Jersey. Listen.
Joining us now is the founder of the Disclosure Project, Dr. Stephen Greer. Dr. Greer, it is great to have you on. A pleasure to be speaking with you right now.
Thank you.
What is going on out there? What are people seeing?
Well, it's a complex story that make it very succinct. We did predict this 30 years ago that they would begin to launch some activity equivalent to a false flag to make it look like there's some sort of alien attack or threat. In reality, it's a response to what's happening. And I've recently told the incoming members of the administration this and people at the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committee that we have a team of about 6 different black sites that have been running illegal projects related to so-called UAPs and UFOs coming forward in the next 30 days or so. They will bring forth dispositive evidence of this and the fact that these programs have been run illegally and outside of constitutional oversight. This is a ramp up to divert attention from that activity and could lead to some other events that would be catastrophic. This is a very dangerous situation. Nothing people are seeing has anything to do with aliens or extraterrestrial intelligence. It has to do with trying to maintain the cover-up on a secret program that went black, but illegal black, back in the late 1950s. So we're into 65, 70 years of some very dangerous operations. Now, these men that are defecting are coming out of some sites I've been at. I was in a helicopter last year, which after that I was almost killed, frankly. And we were over these black sites and saw the openings that go into underground facilities where there are the man-made UFOs that come out, but also where they have illegal electromagnetic pulse weapons where they target and down the extraterrestrial vehicles that are then reverse engineered.
Okay, let me stop you. Let me stop you right there, Dr. Greer. Let me stop just because I want everyone at home I want us all to be on the same page. You're saying that we have the technology to shoot ET craft, not of this planet, out of the air, and we are reverse engineering those aircraft.
100%, and there are multiple men coming forward. They've been with JSOC and Special Forces, who are also NOx, an unofficial cover in corporate world. One of them's been there about 29 years and is very senior and has all the evidence, and they'll be releasing the evidence and the information. Now, this creates a dynamic because it's happening before the inauguration. They plan to do it sometime between now and early January. And I've been working with these men for about 19 months. And they're serious, and they have the goods. They can prove what they're stating. but they're also going to unmask themselves. They will come forward, the name, rank, serial number, and the whole history of this, including the illegal nature of some of these programs, which we don't have time to go into, but they'll curl your toes. Some of the stuff that's been going on is quite illegal and very dangerous and horrible. But the technologies, I mean, remember the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty requires that we have no electromagnetic
Could you give me, Dr. Greer, could you give us a quick summary? I'd like to hear some of the toe curling details, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, for example, they have been able to confirm one of our whistleblowers' testimony, who's a Marine, Michael Herrera, who was present at an event, stumbled across an event during a rescue mission after the Indonesian earthquake in 2009, and he came across a platform, a man-made object, about 300 feet around, that was manned by covert human operators who were American, and they had boxed up and crated up humans that they were trafficking that had oxygen tanks on this tank, and they were being moved to a black site for various types of human experimentation and use. It's horrific, some of the actions. The main operator from two of these black sites that I've been at, I will not discuss where they are right now.
Okay.
It'll be disclosed fairly soon. He actually had personal knowledge of that. So when this whistleblower came forward, who was taken to the Pentagon Aero Office and Senate Intelligence Committee, he approached me and confirmed all of it. And so he said, not only that, but it's way worse than that. So there are some really worrisome programs going on without the oversight of the president or the Congress, and that has to get corrected because it's dangerous. Now, all these drones and everything going on is both a diversion, but an attempt to create a psychological warfare,
a psyop to distract us.
And that's really what it is, but it could escalate to something very dangerous. I mean, yesterday I was told that I personally might be arrested, that there will be a character assassination plot against me that will come out soon.
Dr. Stephen Greer, interesting stuff. And, you know, I've often wondered, Bill, if you look back as recently as World War II, all right, we were flying prop planes. Our sophistication was very limited. It was the Germans actually who came out with the first practical jet fighter plane during World War II, but it was too late. The war was just about over. But suddenly, between like 1955 and now, our development in this area just went nuts. I mean, we look at the stealth fighter. It has impenetrable skin on it. You can't see it on radar. Where'd that come from? I mean, yes, it could have been developed by some university somewhere, but the odds of that are probably slim, maybe none. You know, you look at the shape of the airplane. Where did they get the idea that this is how you build an aircraft, a jet aircraft, so that radar doesn't reflect on it, doesn't pick up the image? I don't know. You look at how far we've gone in the past few years with space flight. I mean, we're grabbing spacecraft, we're landing spacecraft. All these things are. I mean, it's just look at tech.
We grew real fast.
Yeah, but look at
technology.
Look at computers. I mean, in my lifetime, when my kids were small, I say small, they were younger girls in elementary school. I can remember getting them a Texas Instrument, Texas 88, I think it was, or Texas 99. It was a home computer. It was sold through Radio Shack, I think. Anyway, the point is
Radio Shack did that. Yeah, they had good software platform, too, for it.
Yeah, the thing is, though, it was sold as being like the end-all. This is technology at its best. Well, now we look at something like that, and you have more technology in your Apple Watch by a long shot than you had in that entire device. And that's only been, 40 years, 35, 40 years? I mean, in that short period of time, we've gone from, well, when I was a kid myself, I'm talking about 1962, 61, I can remember going to Brown University on a tour and going through, I was just a kid, and going through their computer lab. And it was a big building, and you walked into the computer room. It was cold, and the computer itself was on springs, and it was about the size of several tractor trailers. And I think they were bragging about the fact that it was like 64K or something like that. And that was 1961. Now you have gigabytes on a thumb drive that is so taken for granted now that people, they lose them, toss them, don't need them anymore. Hand them out like candy. Go ahead.
It used to be that when they did them, the first computers, you always saw the old movies and even Star Trek shows and everything. They showed a computer in the background, and it was a tape that would, reel-to-reel tapes that would digitally advance forward and back, and that's that you recorded the ones and zeros, on that tape. Then they were able to sit there and make it into a little microchip, and still. It took a while to get that chip smaller and, to
cool enough.
Hold more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when radio, they said it'll never be able to sit there. You'll never be able to digitize music. But then in the 80s, somebody sat there and said, we could put the whole Beatles library on a chip the size of your thumbnail. We just got to cool it down. Well, that happened and then some. I mean, I went to work for one of the companies that started this craze of, you don't need a bunch of disc jockeys. You don't need a bunch of radio studios, and we did everything. And I remember it was about the size of a moving box, maybe up to your waist, and that was the computer. And then we had a backup unit, and I'm going, well, what does this thing have? And they said, oh, it's got a terabyte. And I thought, ooh, terabyte in there. I got that in a little box that's the size of a pack of cigarettes now.
Oh, I know. That's Jim and Bill's in case you missed it. Don't forget to check out the latest episode of Jim and Bill, It's Another Day, available right now on itsanotherday.com, itsanotherday.com, or your favorite streaming site. Talk to you again soon.